What's going on, YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider. I am sick today, so please bear with me on my voice. Um, and also, I'm not wearing Raider gear. I'm wearing Oregon stuff because I'm a big Ducks fan, and they played today. But I wanted to make a quick video while it was on my mind. Sorry, and tell you where I think I've been thinking a lot lately about obviously the Khalil Mack trade and what it's like to be a Raider fan right now. And it's a weird time, a really weird time to be a Raider fan, not knowing, like, I was talking about this with my brother-in-law, with the exception of, like, a few rookies. Like, I feel like there's only one person that's guaranteed to be on this team next year, and that's Derek Carr. And, like, it's weird just not knowing where the future is going to look like. But here is where I think Gruden may have gone wrong. Or I say Gruden because everyone's saying Gruden, but where the Raiders may have gone wrong in their lack of foresight with the Khalil Mack trade is this. So I've heard, Gruden himself, McKenzie, they say Khalil wasn't going to make it to week one. He wasn't going to play week one. His holdout was going to continue into the regular season. And they wanted to get him out of there before that was an option, before he could do that. But some Raider players say that they truly believe he would have made it to week one and he would have ended his holdout and come and played. So I feel like trading him when they did was the worst part about the trade, because you look at Le'Veon Bell's situation, like, his holdout is going to seemingly seep into week one, and you look at how his team has reacted all of a sudden when his stance is, my paycheck is worth more than winning or helping win meaningful games, not preseason games, but meaningful games. And all of a sudden the tone in that locker room has shifted to where if Tomlin and the Steelers traded Le'Veon Bell today, they wouldn't be, I feel like the locker room wouldn't be that upset about it. But had they gone out and traded Le'Veon Bell a week ago, that locker room would have been divided. So it's like, maybe Khalil Mack doesn't report week one. Like, hold on to him and let him be that worst case scenario. We play week one without Khalil Mack. Guess what's happening? We're playing week one without Khalil Mack. It's not like we got a player for those picks that's going to be able to help us win week one. It's not like the Bears were willing to give up 2 first-rounders a week ago, but after week one, they wouldn't be willing to give up 2 first-rounders. Like, I really think that what they should have done is let Khalil, give Khalil the rope to hang himself with the locker room. That way Gruden's not the one that's hanging in the locker room. That way the organization's not the one that's hanging in the locker room. That's Khalil, because if Khalil takes the time and goes, you know what, my money is worth more than beating the Rams, all of a sudden the mood in that locker room is going to change. But we'll never know, because we traded him before that was even a possibility. Like, we don't know what damage has been done in that locker room. But I can tell you right now that if there's any damage in that locker room, it wouldn't be nearly so had we traded him after this week. If we traded him on Tuesday after the game. So that's kind of my thought about it. And I think it even seeps into the Steelers' potential success. I'm a big James Conner fan. And you listen to those guys come out and they go, we don't need Le'Veon Bell. We have James Conner. What do you think that does for James Conner? That builds him up. That pumps him up. Wouldn't it have been awesome if the Raiders were out there going, wow, Khalil, like, how can you say, like, in the press or whatever, how could you say that your time is worth more than my time? You know what? It doesn't even matter if Khalil's here or not, because we have Arden Key. Like, how do you think that would have helped Arden Key? It would have helped him incredibly, as opposed to, well, Khalil's gone, so I guess Arden Key has to step up now. like not quite as good. So I really feel like that's the biggest flaw. Like I've kind of gotten a little bit more on board. I still don't think it was necessarily the right decision, but I've gotten a little bit more on board with the idea of trading Khalil Mack to the Bears. I just think the timing of it was like wrong, like way wrong. Wait a week. Like, you know what I mean? Wait a week. Let him make the mistake of putting himself above the team to where the team can blame him and not, because it wasn't his, like, at the end of the day, granted, like, it was his actions led to the trade, but he's not the one that pulled the trigger on the trade. He's not the one that decided to get out of Oakland. You know what I mean? Like, so the team can easily look at the organization, at McKenzie, Gruden, Davis, and go, what the hell? You know? So that's where I think he went wrong. But we'll see. Like, I'm really excited to see those three rookie defensive linemen tomorrow and hope that the three of them can put it together and make up for Khalil. Sorry. A couple other things I've been thinking about moving forward, because it is what it is. It's happened. I'm definitely looking at what I think we need to draft. And last night I was doing a little bit of research and whether or not I think next year we should take an edge rusher, whether I should, because Bruce Irvin is 30. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on, sorry. Sorry about that. Bruce Irvin is 30, so that's older, but not like too old. So we could get another year out of him. Whether we need to take a middle linebacker, Derek Johnson is really old, but everyone's been saying Markel Lee has been really stepping up. Whether we need to take a running back, whether we need to take a safety, whether we need to take, we will need to take a running back because Marshawn will be gone. Depends on Doug Martin, but he's also, I think he's 30 as well, or pushing that. So, and then if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago what the deepest strength on our team is, I would have said wide receiver. But like now it's like I know that Amari might be there next year, but I could foresee a situation where none of those guys are on this team. We take a receiver, do we take a corner? So I really think we need a captain of the defense at the middle linebacker position. I really think that's a position we need to address big time. When you look at, and I know Markel Lee has been winning over the locker room, but when you, not saying that he can't do it, and I hope he does. I hope he turns out to be the best middle linebacker in football and we don't have to worry about it. But when you look at the top middle linebackers in the league, the Bobby Wagners, the Luke Kuechly's, the Deion Jones, who's like my favorite. I love Deion Jones. Like even down to Zach Brown and some of those other really good guys, Ryan Shazier, they're all first and second round draft picks, like every single one of them. And Markel Lee was a fifth rounder. Not saying again that that's indicative of what he can do, but we've played that game. We played that game with Ben Heaney and with Miles Burris. Like we've tried that. And I'm not saying Markel Lee can't do it. I'm just saying I think that if we want a true superstar, and Markel Lee doesn't prove to be that, we're going to have to take one early. And I'm kind of on board with taking a running back early as well. Next year, Marshawn will be gone. Doug Martin could be gone. I mean, Chris Warren could do something, but moving forward, I want a Todd Gurley or an Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette. I want one of those guys, a Saquon Barkley, really help Derek. You know what I mean? That'd be like next year if the Giants take a really high up their court, like a Justin Herbert. I'm a homer pick because I'm an Oregon Duck fan. But to have a really young, promising quarterback, running back, and wide receiver like the Cowboys had back in the day, that would be cool with me. If we sign Amari and bring in a stud running back who's young, that'd be awesome. So I kind of feel like that's where we need to go: a middle linebacker and a running back, and then the next year in the first round, and then the next year maybe go edge rusher, corner, or edge rusher, receiver, edge rusher, safety, somewhere in there. But I'm hoping that we have enough with Fadal Brown, Bruce, and we could address it in the second or the third. But Fadal Brown, Bruce Irvin, Arden Key, like one of those guys, Tank Carradine, to hold the reins and be decent enough till we can bring in someone. And next year, there's some decent edge rushing free agents. One guy who I've been looking at, there's two guys who are going to be free agents next year. One guy I don't think will make it. I think his team will re-sign him, and that's Anthony Barr, who I was really big on. Like, the Vikings, in my opinion, had, like, that draft, that 2014 draft was my favorite. And my favorite quarterback in that draft, I'm not just saying this, was Derek Carr for sure, but, like, right below him was Teddy Bridgewater, and the Vikings took him. And my favorite defensive player in that draft was Khalil Mack, but right below him was Anthony Barr. And so I think he would be a real helpful piece at linebacker. He's not really an edge rusher, but he would be a really good outside linebacker for us. And then another guy who I compared to Khalil Mack the next year coming out, who has really been a flop, but he's only 25 years old, and that's Dante Fowler from the Jags. And I kind of think he's going to be a free agent next year. I don't think that they're going to re-sign him. So he's an option there too. Like, we could get him in there and really, try and fill that void with some young, because he's 25, like some young talent. So a lot of holes, we got to fill them. Watching football today, I'm going to watch Alabama. Mac Wilson is a middle linebacker I really like. There's a lot of those guys out there, and I'll do a video on that. Another running back I've really been liking is David Montgomery. He's a running back from Iowa State. And then Raiders and a bunch of teams have scouts going to the USC Stanford game today. I believe that's to watch Bryce Love, running back from Stanford. So that's where my mind is moving forward. I just don't know what this year's going to hold, man. I feel like we could go 16-0 or we could go 0-16. Like, it's really a weird time to be a Raider fan. Like, a really weird time. I'm shaking the camera, my bad. So anyway, let me know what you think, Raider Nation. Leave comments. Like this video if you do. Dislike it if you don't. Tell me why. Subscribe if you haven't. And just win, baby.